The note I left when I skipped town was the reason my stepbrother, Ethan Vance, had a complete meltdown. All it said was, "To hell with your main character act, you pathetic prick. I'm out." The moment I met him, I knew I was the designated villain in some saccharine romance novel, and he was the golden boy hero. To move the plot forward, I was destined to be the bad guy. Even when I did nothing, if Ethan so much as stubbed his toe, I'd be the one taking the blame. My parents, completely smitten with their adopted son, had packed me off to a boarding school in Switzerland as punishment for existing. Now, with the family company on the brink of bankruptcy, they'd summoned me back to be sold off in an arranged marriage. The woman I was supposed to marry told me, "I'm here to save you," but the way she looked at my stepbrother was pure, undisguised adoration. Even the goddamn author of this whole farce, the sycophant who wrote my life, once jumped in front of a knife I was aiming at Ethan, pleading, "Your suffering is my fault. Direct your anger, your hatred at me." He was always surrounded by a legion of admirers. I was surrounded by contempt. What a joke. I just smiled. "Don't worry, take a number. You're next on my list, my dear little creator." 3 years ago, my parents shipped me overseas. Today, they threatened to cut off my trust fund to force me back. Stepping out of the terminal at O'Hare, I saw them. The whole happy family, beaming. My dear father and mother, and Chloe Carter, the woman who'd gone from my fiancée to my stepbrother's girlfriend in the blink of an eye. They were clustered around Ethan, who must have said something clever, because they were all laughing. Suddenly, Ethan spotted me and waved. "Leo, over here." The others turned, their smiles instantly replaced by uniform awkwardness. "Well, look at this," I said, strolling over. "Group vacation? Is that any way to talk to us?" My father's face darkened. "We came all the way here to pick you up, and this is the attitude we get." God is my witness, all I did was say hello. I rolled my eyes. "Did I ask you to come?" My father's hand flew up, ready to strike. I just leaned my face forward, daring him. "Go on, do it. I dare you to finish the job." Ethan scrambled between us. "Mr. Jiang, please. Leo's probably just exhausted from the flight. Let's all go home. Did you move your crap out of my bedroom yet? Don't talk to me about home." I grabbed the lapel of Ethan's bespoke suit. A suit I'm sure cost a fortune. I didn't mean to pull so hard, but a button popped off. He looked down, feigning fear, the picture of a kicked puppy. "Leo, that's enough." Chloe jumped in, wrapping her arm protectively around Ethan's and glaring at me. "What the hell are you yapping about?" I shot her a look of pure disgust. God, I can't stand a pathetic simp. My mother started to say something, but one glance from me, and she wisely shut her mouth. I'd never laid a hand on her, but after she'd slapped me once for defending Ethan, I'd spent all night gathering up her entire jewelry collection and fastening it to the collars of a few hundred stray dogs. Then I paid people to parade them past her window for a week. The thought of her precious diamonds on mangy mutts sent her, a notorious germaphobe, into a crying fit that lasted for days. She never mouthed off to me again. A little light venting, and I already felt better. I flagged down a cab and slid in, leaving them fuming on the curb. The thought that for a long, long time, they would lie awake at night, regretting they ever let me walk away today, that just made me even happier. I spent the next 2 weeks back in the States doing absolutely nothing but playing hide and seek and earning a cool 200 grand. After I left them at the airport, I ghosted them. They couldn't reach me. They started a citywide search, calling everyone I knew, but came up empty. Finally, they hired a well-known private investigator in Chicago. The PI was good, I'll give him that, but he couldn't compete with my real estate portfolio. The moment he'd locate me and report back to the Jiang family, I'd be gone, even if it meant packing up in the middle of the night. By the time my father and his crew arrived, all they'd find was a sticky note on the door. It always said the same thing, "LOL, morons." I kept this up, switching condos every 2 days. On the 8th time, the PI didn't call my father. Instead, he collapsed at my feet, grabbing my leg with a tearful whine. "Bro, I'm begging you, please stop," the kid sobbed. "I've got a family to feed, man. Earning a living is hard enough." I looked down at the young man, who was dry heaving sobs. "Ricky Shaw," I said calmly, reading off the info I'd pulled on him. 23. Single. Parents deceased. Lies at. Caught in his lie, Ricky froze, then rubbed the back of his head with an embarrassed grin. "Dude, how do you know that?" A sly smile spread across my face. "Don't worry about it. We'll make a deal." "A deal? How much is my family paying you?" $150,000. I raised an eyebrow. "Uh-huh. Okay. 400,000. He admitted, his whole body slumping like a deflated balloon. "Dude, leave me something." I held up 2 fingers. "We split it. I get 200. You get to be done with this nightmare. It's a win-win." His lip quivered, looking like he was about to shatter into a million pieces. But he nodded, resigned. "He's owed me the money on the spot." True to my word, I stayed put, waiting for the Jiang family to arrive the next day. They were on the verge of bankruptcy, but still willing to drop 400K just to find me. They were definitely up to something. Sure enough, as if afraid I'd bolt again, my father showed up with no fewer than 10 bodyguards. "You ungrateful brat," he roared as he walked into the living room, slapping a stack of my sticky notes on the coffee table. "Oh dear," I said, pulling a fresh one from my pocket and adding it to the pile. "You were missing the 8th one. You're welcome. You bastard." My father clutched his chest, his hand trembling, looking like he was about to have stroke. Ethan rushed to his side, scolding me. "Leo, stop upsetting Mr. Jiang. He hasn't slept, worrying about you. Can't you show a little compassion? Here, this one's for you." I took his hand, placed a note in his palm that read LOL, "You're the biggest moron," and said with utmost sincerity, "You get the special edition." "Enough of this, Leo. I didn't come here to watch you play the fool." My father snatched the note and ripped it to shreds. He took a deep breath, forcing a softer tone. "Son, I know you've been alone overseas all these years, and you're resentful. But a parent's love for their child is for their own good. We were trying to protect you." He continued his gaslighting tour. "You're our only son. We couldn't bear to see you go down the wrong path. Now the company is under attack. I'm getting old, Leo. Will you come back and help your father?" I remained expressionless, but I saw Ethan was already misty-eyed, completely moved by the performance. "Ow," I asked. His eyes lit up. "The Sterling Corporation is willing to invest and help us through this crisis, but they have one condition. A marriage." "Oh," I said, lazily pointing at Ethan. "Why doesn't he do it? You adopted him, didn't you?" Ethan is the hero of this world, equipped with all the standard tragic backstory but noble character and devastatingly handsome looks qualifications. He becomes the center of any room he enters. His father was my father's army buddy, saved his life, but died heroically in a rescue mission. His mother was a gambling addict who abandoned them when he was a kid. My father, feeling an unpayable debt, decided to adopt Ethan and give him a home. That was the beginning of my life's downward spiral. The second I finished speaking, Chloe, whose eyes had been glued to Ethan, bristled. She opened her mouth to object, but I shot her a glare that shut her up. "You the simp, shut your mouth. If one more word comes out, I'll knock your teeth out." Her face turned beet red as she choked on her retort. Ethan offered a lame excuse. "But I'm already engaged to Chloe. And besides, you're the heir to the Jiang family. I'm not worthy. So break it off." "Chloe's an expert at that by now. You don't have to worry about the logistics," I sneered. "And while we're on the subject, what part of your life, your food, your clothes, your home, your woman, didn't you take from me? You didn't seem to feel unworthy then, did you?" Chloe and I were childhood sweethearts. Our marriage practically arranged from the cradle. She'd been so eager, she threw us an engagement party the day after my 18th birthday. A month later, she publicly called it off. "For years," she announced to a crowd of reporters, "I was blind, wasting my heart on someone unworthy. Thankfully, I've seen the light and still have a chance to pursue true love." I was in the audience, clutching a ring I designed and had custom made for her, a surprise because a week earlier she'd claimed she'd lost the first one. It wasn't until after she was engaged to Ethan that I found out she'd thrown it into the ocean as a grand gesture of her devotion to him. And I, like an idiot, was about to offer her a second one. Jiang Air dumped became the joke of Chicago's high society. When I went to my parents for comfort, they told me I was being petty and that you can't force love. Then they threw a lavish party to celebrate Ethan's engagement to my ex-fiancée. That was the moment I truly understood. The plot was irreversible. Everything I had, including love, would be stolen by Ethan. And even if I did nothing, I'd be branded the villain. So, if I was going to lose everything anyway, I might as well earn the title. I began my journey as the chaos-sowing antagonist. If they were miserable, I was happy. "Stop changing the subject," my father's voice hardened, seeing me drag Ethan into it. "Are you going to stand by and watch the company go under? Can you really give up your status as the Jiang heir?" I scoffed. Why not? Leo Jiang, the laughingstock of the elite, kicked out of his own home by a cuckoo in the nest, forbidden from returning to the country. What's so great about that title? The pretense of family harmony was over. My father dropped the loving dad act and went straight to selling his son for profit. He ordered the bodyguards, "Grab him. You're marrying her whether you like it or not." As they lunged, a soft female voice cut through the tension. "Don't force him. I'll cover the investment." I looked up. A beautifully dressed young woman with a gentle smile was walking toward us. She gracefully pulled me from the bodyguard's grasp and turned to my father. "Mr. Jiang, my name is Arya Quinn. I've heard so much about you." She smiled. "I'm a suitor of Leo's. I'm willing to offer double the Sterling Corporation's investment. All I ask is for a chance to win over your son." "Are you serious?" my father asked, stunned. When Arya nodded, he agreed so fast his head bobbed. As I stared at her in confusion, she leaned in close. "Don't be afraid," she whispered. "I'm here to save you." I searched my memory. In the original novel's plot, there was no Arya Quinn. The story was supposed to go that I, desperate for capital to fight Ethan, relentlessly pursued and married the Sterling heiress, a woman named Maya. But after the wedding, Maya fell in love with Ethan at first sight and resented me for standing in her way. She made my life hell, which only fueled my insane desire for revenge against him. I knew I couldn't fight the main plot points, but this woman had just changed the entire trajectory. What was her angle? Save me? I'd see what kind of game she was really playing. To thank Arya Quinn for her generosity, my father actually suggested I go with her. "You can either build a relationship with her or get ready for a wedding. Your choice. It's not like you want to come home anyway." I nodded and readily agreed, taking Arya's offer hand. "You don't mind, do you?" My mysterious pursuer. Her eyes met mine. "It would be my honor," she said softly. She bid farewell to everyone, her gaze lingering on Ethan with an unmistakable glimmer of awe. I suddenly felt bored. The hero's charm. So damn irritating. So, was she just going to be a substitute for Maya Sterling in this twisted script? Arya's place was a small villa, but unlike other rich people's homes, it was filled to the brim with anime figurines and blind box toys, a stark contrast to her elegant persona. "I don't usually have guests, so it's a bit of a mess," she said, blushing. "Let me show you to the guest room." On the dining table sat a very girly, pink notebook, left open as if the writer had been interrupted. When she saw me looking, Arya quickly snatched it shut and put it away. "Cute," I commented offhandedly. Her overly nervous reaction, her way of avoiding my gaze, piqued my curiosity. She locked the notebook in a small safe with a combination lock. A few days passed peacefully, except for Ethan's annoyingly frequent text to Arya, asking with cloying sweetness if she was treating me well. One day, while she was out, I found the safe. An image of her looking at Ethan flashed in my mind, the same look of adoration she gave her favorite figurines. On a whim, I typed in Ethan's birthday. Click. The lock sprang open. What the hell? For a second, my mind spun with a dozen melodramatic soap opera plots, but then I remembered this ridiculous world and its everyone loves the hero setting. Suddenly, it seemed plausible. I opened the notebook and discovered the truth was even more insane than I'd imagined. A character has awakened? He wants to stop my precious boy from being adopted? No, this will ruin everything. I have to go there and deal with him. I'm finally in this world. I can see my son with my own eyes. So exciting. My sweet boy won his piano competition today. My baby is the best. Is Leo insane? He just smashed my Ethan's piano. He was supposed to be grounded right now. Why is the plot deviating? Why? My son is so handsome and kind and forgiving. He even defended Leo after Leo insulted him. The date on that entry was the day I returned. If this continues, the whole story will collapse. Leo must have some secret I don't know about. I have to protect Ethan to stop the plot from derailing any further. The date on that one was this morning. After reading everything, I understood. Arya Quinn was the author of this novel. She had come here to protect Ethan. The world was veering off course because of me, so she found a way to enter it, claiming she was here to save me when she was really here to save him. Hilarious. What are you doing? Arya was back. I held up the notebook. Are you blind? I'm reading your creepy stalker journal. The diary wasn't just about the main plot. It was filled with her obsessive observations of Ethan's life. She was like a sewer rat peeking at a feast that wasn't hers, calling him her son in one breath and fantasizing about him in the next. Pathetic. But I wasn't interested in her twisted desires. I pointed to the first page. Deal with the awakened character. I read aloud, my voice cold. Was that my grandmother? So you're the one who killed her. The hit-and-run driver who was never found. That was you, wasn't it? You really are vile. I spat. Your idea of loving the hero is to keep his villain around to torture him. Her eyes widened in shock. So you have awakened. I was wondering why the plot kept having these small deviations. She muttered. I laughed coldly. She must have been surprised that even knowing my tragic end, I wasn't trying to save myself, but was determined to keep playing the villain to the hilt. Why would I save myself? I wasn't some spineless pushover. The memory of my grandmother, who had desperately tried to pull me out of this narrative, dying in that car crash, was a needle piercing my heart. I was 18 when my father announced he was bringing home a new brother. The day before Ethan arrived, my grandmother called me. She asked how I was. Dad's bringing a new brother home tomorrow. I chirped, full of excitement. In a few days, we'll bring him to visit you, Grandma. I was so naive I didn't notice the strange tone in her voice. The next day, she arrived early and stood at the door, blocking Ethan from entering. Mom, what are you doing? My parents asked, confused. You can't raise this boy. Send him away. He has relatives. It's not your place to interfere. Oh, Mom, my mother laughed, trying to lead Ethan inside. His relatives are all out of state, and they're not close. Besides, we only have Leo. It'll be nice for him to have a companion. The moment I saw this boy, I felt a connection. But my grandmother stood firm, her attitude unyielding. Ethan started to cry, pathetically pleading with her. She cut him off coldly. I'm not a sentimental old fool like them. You could drop the act. Your misfortune doesn't compare to what my Leo will suffer. I know you're a poor, unfortunate child, but your destiny clashes with my grandson's. You cannot stay here. We were all mystified. We couldn't understand why our usually kind grandmother was suddenly being so unreasonable. My father was the first to react, turning his anger on me. I knew it. You're a jealous brat. You pretend to be fine, then you run crying to your grandmother, don't you? My mother looked at me with disapproval. What nonsense are you spouting? My grandmother roared, shielding me. I'm still here, and you're already making up lies to blame Leo? The two of them were at a standoff. My father, who had always respected her, clenched his fists, looking like an enraged lion. In the end, my grandmother decided to take me with her. My father didn't stop her. He just ordered my things packed, almost everything I owned. I couldn't believe it. Was he kicking me out? Don't be scared, Leo, Grandma whispered. Trust me, I won't let anyone hurt you. But halfway there, a van sped out of nowhere and slammed into our car. My grandmother threw her body over me, taking the brunt of the impact. As her eyes closed, tears streamed down her face. Grandma's so sorry, Leo. I broke my promise so soon. My good Leo, listen to Grandma. Stay away from Ethan Vance. I was taken home, only to find that in just a few hours, my bedroom had become Ethan's. My father said it was punishment for tattling. The grief over my grandmother's death, coupled with my parents' betrayal, pushed me to the edge. I ran a high fever for 3 days, and in that feverish haze, I awakened. I finally understood I was nothing but the villain in a cheap romance novel. Having been spoiled by family and friends my whole life, I naively believed that if I just avoided the hero, if I wasn't jealous, my fate wouldn't follow the novel script. But reality shattered that illusion, mocking my innocence. At first, I didn't follow the plot. I didn't hurt the hero. I kept my distance, but he would always tiptoe around me, trying to win me over. I'd be minding my own business in the garden, and suddenly he'd fall into the pond. Everyone would insist I pushed him, and my father, the self-proclaimed paragon of justice, would furiously throw me into the water. Drop the act. If you ever bully Ethan again, you'll regret it. Ethan never said a word. He knew I didn't do it, but he never defended me. He just watched as I nearly drowned, only being pulled out when I was half dead. I could understand his fear, living under someone else's roof, but I still hated him for it. Later, he'd apologize in private. When I asked him why he didn't speak up, he'd just hang his head in that pathetic, silent way of his. Then my father would show up, see his silence, and I'd be the one punished, forced to kneel all night. I've lost count of how many times that scene replayed. All I know is my parents never once chose to believe me. There was even a time when security footage clearly showed Ethan injuring himself by accident, and my father still chewed me out for not taking good care of your brother. Then came Chloe's betrayal. That's when I chose rebellion. If I couldn't escape my fate as the villain, I might as well have some fun before the end. The original novel had me as the main antagonist for 8 years, a running thread through the whole story. I was confident the author wouldn't let me get written off too early. So I started my campaign of making their lives a living hell. Ethan made it to the finals of a piano competition. Praised as a prodigy, I got myself on the judging panel and tanked his score. He ran for class president. I ran against him. He had charisma and heartfelt speeches, but I had money. I handed out cash. I won in a landslide. My parents bought him a limited edition sports car. I took a sledgehammer to it until it was scrap metal. He went on vacation with my parents. I slashed their tires. They ended up spending their trip in the ER. They were furious. They wanted to beat me. Fat chance. I just stick my face out and grin. Go on, kill me. Because if you hit me and I survive, I'm coming for him. And so I was thrown out and scathed. It didn't matter. My grandparents had left me more condos than I could count. After figuring out Arya Quinn's motive, I moved out immediately. On my way out the door, I made sure to smash a custom-made Ethan figurine she kept in the same cabinet as her other treasures. I watched as her eyes welled up with tears. No wonder Ethan was such a crybaby. He got it from his real mom. Though Aria's investment saved the Jiang family company, it was a bandage on a gaping wound. My father pinned his hopes on a charity gala being held in 3 days, hosted by the most mysterious new tycoon in Chicago's business world. This newcomer's company had devoured every competitor that stood in its way, bulldozing its way into the city's top 3 wealthiest entities. The Jiang family, meanwhile, had slipped far down the list. The tycoon was a mystery. No one knew anything about him. But rumor had it he would make his first public appearance at the gala. My father donated the family's most valuable antique just to score 2 VIP tickets. He was desperate to bring Ethan along and help him network. At the gala, Ethan was predictably the center of attention. A flock of society matrons and their daughters surrounded him, cooing as he stood there in a white suit like some fairy tale prince. My father stood nearby, beaming with pride. Ethan's sharp eyes spotted me. He strode over, putting on an air of importance. "Leo, you're here too. Mr. Jiang is over there. I can take you to him." I brush him off with disgust. Ethan's face fell into its familiar wounded expression, and a few of the young socialites immediately rushed to his defense. "Well, look who it is. One of them, a guy named Jake, sneered. If it isn't Chicago's own arsonist and murderer, Leo Jiang." "What's it to you?" I shot back. "Did I burn your dad's house down?" "A few years abroad, and all you learned was how to be a savage. No class at all." "You're right," I deadpanned. "I could never compete with you, Mr. Classy." "As far as I know, you weren't on the guest list," Jake said, a smug curl to his lip as his eyes drifted down toward my waist. "How'd you get in? Must have used some dirty tricks to satisfy that ego of yours." "You got me," I said, winking. "I climbed the wall. Just happened to see your dad on the 3rd floor, getting it on with his secretary." Jake's face went stiff. It was a well-known secret that his mother had been his father's secretary, the one who drove the original wife to a nervous breakdown. They'd spent a fortune burying that story. Jake was one of Ethan's cronies, always doing his dirty work. A moment later, a scantily clad woman burst out of a 3rd-floor VIP room, followed by a sharp-faced matron wielding a high-heeled shoe. "You little tramp, I promoted you to take my place, and this is how you repay me? Seducing my husband? I'll tear you apart." "Stop," Jake yelled, snapping out of his stupor as he realized his dad really was having an affair. The other guests recognized the players in the drama, their expressions a mix of shock and amusement. Humiliated, Jake chased after his mother. Ethan looked worried and started to follow, but I stopped him, casually fiddling with my phone. "Gala's about to start. If you leave now, you won't get back in." The foot Ethan had already placed outside the ballroom door froze and retreated. He went back to my father, looking wounded. My father stormed over, hissing, "Are you insane? Do you know where you are? Stop causing trouble and get out. I don't want to see your face here." I rolled my eyes and sank into the plush sofa in the center of the VIP section. "None of your business. If you don't want to see me, you can leave. No one's stopping you." A vein pulsed on his forehead. He looked around frantically. "You have no respect. Do you know whose seat that is? Get up. If you don't move, I'm calling security." I waved a hand, beckoning the event manager. "Mr. King, this gentleman is harassing me." Mr. King frowned at my father. "Sir, please return to your seat. If you continue to disturb Mr. Jiang, I'll have security escort you out." "No, you don't understand. He's in the wrong seat. I'm just trying to—" "That's the seat for the president of South Point Holdings." His words trailed off. His jaw dropped. He looked at me in shock, then swiveled his head back to the manager. You just called him Mr. Jiang? You mean he's the president of South Point?" Mr. King gave him a look that said, "Who else did you think he was? Sir, please return to your seat." As security half pushed, half dragged him away, I squinted my eyes and gave him a cheerful little wave. "Surprise." A reporter rushed over. "Mr. Jiang, we hear your father's company is struggling. As a new titan of industry, will you be helping your family through this crisis?" I feigned confusion. Did I win the lottery? Why would I help a polished turd? Just because it has a fake gold plating? I felt a pair of eyes burning into my back. I turned and made a retching face at my father, mouthing the word, turd. The gala began. I was invited on stage. After Mr. King's introduction, the crowd looked at me as if they'd seen a ghost, especially the young socialites who had been fawning over Ethan. They all subtly shifted away from him. It turned out that in the face of absolute power, even the plot had to bend to my will. My father stormed into my office days later. He slammed a contract on my desk. "Since this is your company, and you are my son, this company should rightfully merge with Jiang Corp. Sign it." His sense of entitlement was breathtaking. I just smiled, then calmly dialed the number in front of him. "The weather's turning cold. It's time for the old Jiang Corp to change ownership." "You bastard. I'm your father, he roared, snatching a cup and hurling it at the wall. It shattered. $2 million. Thank you, I said, glancing wistfully at the ceramic shards on the floor. 3 million. He smashed my vase. 2.5 million. My painting. I'm going to have to sue you, you know, I said softly. A son suing his father? The world's gone mad, he laughed maniacally. With a sigh, I called my legal department to draft the lawsuit and had security escort him out. Arya Quinn, who I hadn't seen in days, reappeared to work her magic. Overnight, the Jiang Corp, which had been on the verge of bankruptcy, was miraculously revived. The God Mode player was truly disgusting. My father immediately installed Ethan in the company, ready to groom him. Meanwhile, my own company lost several major contracts, all of which Arya had funneled to Ethan to build his experience. I was amazed the little prick didn't choke on them. I set my sights on an overseas project bid happening in a week. They, of course, caught the scent and joined the race. The day before I was set to leave, Arya intercepted me, saying she had something important to discuss. She handed me a coffee with an earnest plea. Leo, I can change your fatal destiny. All you have to do is stop competing with Ethan. Please. As long as you don't fight for what belongs to him, the tragic parts of the plot won't happen. I promise you, she said, her face a mask of sincerity. I wanted to laugh. If I don't fight, that's the real death sentence, isn't it? I retorted. The only reason you're here, trying to persuade me, is because my fighting is affecting your precious main plot. And what do you mean, what belongs to him? Is his name written on it? You came here to protect him, not even allowing me to become powerful. To that, I say, in your fucking dreams, you idiot. Seeing that I wasn't falling for it, she switched to a sob story. Your suffering is my fault. Direct your anger, your hatred, at me. Ethan is just a kind, innocent boy. He's blameless. Huh. The one who benefits is never blameless. Fine. I'll direct it at you. The moment I stood up, the room started to spin. Drug coffee. I scrambled out of my office, hit the emergency lockdown button, and sealed Arya inside. You want to play games, you twisted freak? Let's play. Just as Arya hoped, I passed out. I missed the bid. Ethan won the contract. I woke up to a text from him. Leo, Arya told me you let me have the project. I'm so happy. You're the best brother ever. I dragged Arya to the most terrifying haunted house attraction in the entire state. I booked the whole place for a private event and told every single actor to go all out. As she watched in horror, I kicked her inside. This place took even brave people half a day to get through. For a coward like Arya, it was pure hell. I knew Ethan was a scaredy cat, so I gambled that his creator would share some of his traits. Looks like I was right. From the control room monitors, I watched her get terrified by ghouls and monsters until she lost control of her bodily functions and fainted. When she woke up, an even more intense wave of horror washed over her. I tapped the sign liability waiver on the console and spoke into the microphone. That's not enough. Whoever makes her pass out again gets a double bonus. The actors redoubled their efforts. Arya was trapped in that house for 2 days and 2 nights. When she finally crawled out, she was covered in her own filth. I sent Ethan a pin of her location with a simple message. Come get your mom. When Ethan saw the tormented, broken shell of a woman, he was horrified. But the stench was so overwhelming, he couldn't stop himself from dry heaving as he tried to help her. Between gags, he accused me. Leo, you've gone too far. You can't just bully people like this. It's wrong. Shut up. One more word out of you, and I'll throw you in there next, I said, gesturing for my men to grab him. He yelped and scrambled to follow the ambulance carrying Arya away. After her release from the hospital, Arya became Ethan's full-time. Well, not his lapdog, more like his consultant. On the day of a big partnership meeting, my father, Chloe, and the rest of their entourage escorted Ethan into the conference room like he was royalty. Seeing the table already laid out with coffee and bottled water, they marveled at how thoughtful a big company could be. They all sat down and began lavishing praise on Ethan, occasionally sprinkling in a disdainful comment about me. I really thought that ungrateful brat Leo had accomplished something, but he's nothing compared to our Ethan. I know, right? Mr. and Mrs. Jiang are so kind. I can't believe Leo. Chloe sighed, looking heartbroken. Arya just sipped her water quietly, though she flinched at the mention of my name. Ethan, blushing from all the praise, modestly deflected their compliments. Suddenly, his brow furrowed, and he clutched his stomach. Oof! Ethan, what's wrong? Chloe rushed to his side. He shook his head, embarrassed, but the pained twist of his face betrayed him. He hurried towards the door, only to find it locked. Chloe was frantic. Ethan, say something. Soon. She didn't have to ask. She doubled over herself. My stomach hurt so bad. She tried the door, but it wouldn't budge. Within a minute, she was pounding on it. Hello? Is anyone out there? Open the door. One by one, all four of them were at the door, clutching their stomachs with one hand and banging with the other, their legs twisted together as they shouted. They looked like a troop of frantic monkeys. I watched from the monitor, howling with laughter. Then, someone let out a small, unfortunate pft. The banging stopped. It was replaced by the sound of retching. A symphony of suffering. It was Chloe. I saw a yellow stain spread across the back of her dress as she crumpled into a corner, hiding behind a curtain in shame. Ethan looked like he wanted to cry, but couldn't. My father and Arya soon followed, their digestive systems apparently failing them as yellow liquid trickled down their legs and puddled on the floor. I was clutching my sides, laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. My source was right. Extra strength laxative for livestock were no joke. I sent the security footage to a friend for editing. His response: "You're a true psychopath." He sent the edited video back quickly, complete with ridiculous memes and sound effects. I uploaded it, bought a massive data package to boost its reach, and watched it go viral. The internet dubbed the whole incident the Great Chicago Shit Show. Ethan earned a new title, the Porcelain Prince. It was all worth it. All the effort I put into setting up this project, just to lure these fish onto the hook. You couldn't go online without seeing their humiliating ordeal. I heard Ethan fell into a deep depression. He tried to overdose on sleeping pills and had to have his stomach pumped. The tide of public opinion briefly turned, with people apologizing for their part in the cyberbullying. I was fascinated. When the pure, kind-hearted hero is finally tainted with hatred, can he still be the flawless moon? Would Ethan finally break from his programming? While waiting for the answer, I had to deal with his little fan club. First up, Chloe Carter. The next second, my office door flew open. Chloe shoved my secretary aside and lunged, her hands closing around my throat. "Was it you, Leo?" she shrieked. "I can't believe how evil you are. You pushed Ethan to suicide. When will you just leave him alone? If you have a problem, take it up with me. It was my fault you were sent away 3 years ago. If you have any hatred, direct it at me," she screamed, her face a twisted mask of rage. "Don't you have any fear of God, you bastard?" Her grip tightened. "Take it up with me." I was so sick of hearing that phrase. I casually cleaned out my ear. "What? Didn't you get a taste of the fun?" The hands on my neck loosened for a split second, then clamped down even harder, as if trying to snap it. My expression turned to ice. I grabbed a pair of scissors from my desk and, without a second's hesitation, plunged them into the back of her hand. "Had enough yet? Or do you want more?" The scissors pierced straight through, a mess of blood and flesh. She screamed and collapsed to the floor, writhing in agony. I couldn't help but laugh. I laughed at myself for wasting my youth on a woman like this, for fantasizing about a future with this piece of garbage. What a dark, embarrassing chapter of my life. A pang of bitterness hit me. The girl I remembered wasn't like this. The girl I loved would have built me a private amusement park to apologize for missing my birthday, because she was sick. She would have caught a sky full of fireflies to cheer me up. She would have paid attention to my every mood, my every preference. We'd known each other since we were babies in the same cradle. For 18 years, she had been perfect in my eyes. I never knew when she started to rot. Now I understood. She was always rotten. She was the kind of person who would kill for those she loved and kill those she hated. Before, she loved me. Now she didn't. 3 years ago, on the anniversary of my grandmother's death, I went to her grave alone. I had no idea Ethan had followed me. He later claimed he was worried about a storm and came to find me, but slipped on a mountain path and fell into a hunter's trap. When I got home after the rain stopped, they demanded to know where Ethan was. I was clueless. It wasn't until Chloe carried a comatose Ethan back that the accusation started. They were convinced I had deliberately tried to murder him. And what a coincidence. Ethan had hit his head and had temporary amnesia. I had no way to defend myself. Chloe was the one who suggested sending me abroad for Ethan's safety. I later found out the amnesia was an act. It was Chloe's idea to get rid of me. A story of a cunning older woman and an innocent young boy. How romantic. If only I hadn't been the sacrifice for their love story. After a long moment, I spoke, my voice soft and my eyes welling with tears. "Chloe." She froze, her gaze lost as she looked up at me. "Chloe, does it hurt?" I gently helped her up. A tear fell onto her bloody hand. She flinched as if burned and snatched her hand away. "Leo," I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. "Can we go back to how we were? I can't get over you." "Leo, Blood was still pouring from her wound, but she seemed not to notice. She dazedly reached up to wipe a tear from my cheek. "Don't cry," she rasped. I had always been the proud, defiant lion, but I knew Chloe had a soft spot for a vulnerable puppy. My sudden weakness, combined with 18 years of fond memories, was too much for her to resist. As she kept murmuring my name, lost in the moment, I held my breath and, in one swift motion, slammed an open can of surströmming onto her face. Then I kicked her away, scrambled back, and put on a gas mask, roaring with laughter. "You're so pathetic. Did you really think I still had feelings for you?" I cackled. "Go on, take a whiff. Doesn't it smell just like that shit you were spewing the other day?" Amid my mocking laughter, Chloe stumbled out, but not before screaming a curse over her shoulder. "You'll get what's coming to you." Yeah, I know. You know my birthday, don't you? Go buy a voodoo doll and have at it." That felt good. Just as I watched Chloe flee my company building, I got a text. "Ricky Shaw. Boss, Aria Quinn left the hospital. She's driving to your office building now. ETA, 30 minutes. I decided Ricky had potential and put him on my payroll. After all, who doesn't love a job with easy work and good money? Time to welcome guest number 2. Aria Quinn took a different approach from Chloe. She went for the calm, dignified route. The moment she walked in my office, she nearly gagged, but she managed to keep her composure. I just stood there in my gas mask, smiling, waiting to see how long she could last. "My dear creator," I said sweetly, "to what do I owe the pleasure?" "Ethan tried to kill himself." "Oh, did he succeed?" She frowned. "Thankfully, he was rescued in time. TSK. What a shame. Such a handsome guy. And he didn't even die." I shook my head mournfully. She cut me off, her face etched with exhaustion. "Let me tell you a story. In the real world, there was a boy I liked very much. He was gentle and kind, bright and handsome. And I was just a quiet, cowardly geek who was bullied all the time at school." She laughed self-deprecatingly. "When the bullies were trying to shove my head down their pants, he was the one who saved me. He did it many times," she continued. "But he didn't come from a powerful family. He was just a poor orphan. So naturally, they retaliated against him. He became the new target. But I was too weak. I didn't dare protect him. He died. He jumped off a building. I hate myself for being so cowardly. Why couldn't I have protected him, or at least try to stop him?" She was openly weeping now, covering her face with her hands. I felt nothing but disgust. "That boy must have been an idiot to save you," I said flatly. "You're not mourning him. You're just trying to soothe your own pathetic ego, to live out some hero fantasy you were too cowardly to act on in real life. That poor kid, he died because of you, and you're still using his memory as an excuse for your own selfish desires. What's the point? You are, and always will be, a complete and utter waste of space." I stepped forward and grabbed her chin, studying her face. "But you're not entirely useless. This face of yours is quite exquisite. It will make a top-tier doll." She flinched, shrinking back. She knew exactly what I was thinking. After all, she was the one who wrote my macabre fascination with dolls into my character profile. It was a shame, though. A room full of fake dolls, all that theoretical knowledge, and I'd never worked on a live subject. I cruelly forced her mouth open and, with a sharp twist, dislocated her jaw. Then I quickly opened a fresh can of surströmming and smeared the entire contents over her face. Compared to Chloe, a simple bitch, Aria, a monster who built her hero fantasy on the grave of a dead boy, was far more disgusting. So I made sure to pour the other half directly into her mouth. With her jaw hanging open, stuffed with rotting fish, she looked utterly ridiculous. She fled the building, shielding her face in shame. Excellent. I never cared if my methods were original, only if they worked. And the results, it seemed, were spectacular. Normally, my father would have been the next to show up. But Ricky informed me there had been a slight change of plans. Aria, in her panicked rush to the emergency room, had floored it, illegally speeding right up to the entrance. She didn't see my father walking out. The car hit him, sending him flying. His head got stuck in the small opening of the reception window. One-click admission to the hospital. No waiting required. My father was furious, but he didn't dare blame Aria. He just had to swallow his anger and his pain. For a couple of weeks, things were blissfully quiet. I heard Ethan's birth mother, Jenny, had reappeared. She showed up at the hospital, spun a sob story about her hard life, and had Ethan so choked up with sympathy that he immediately handed over his entire life savings to her. He bought her a car, a condo, designer, everything. I had to laugh. Ethan was only 3 or 4 when she abandoned him. He had no real memory of her. But I, who knew the whole script, knew that Jenny was a viper. In the original story, she also reappeared after being found by Chloe, who wanted to make Ethan happy. Chloe knew Jenny was a gambling addict and controlled her with some kind of poison she'd acquired. But Jenny eventually found the money wasn't enough. She constantly harassed Ethan for more, even trying to get him to steal the antidote for her. Ethan, starved for motherly love, was a complete fool for her. Once she got the antidote, Jenny decided Chloe was too ruthless and started trying to pimp Ethan out to the daughter of a casino boss. Ethan and Chloe almost broke up over it. Finally, Chloe had enough and had Jenny killed, telling Ethan it was an accidental fall from a cliff. After that, they reconciled and lived happily ever after. I never thought my interference would cause Jenny to show up early. Thanks to my viral video, their identities were exposed online. When Jenny found out her son was living a life of luxury, she naturally got greedy. My parents had heard rumors about Ethan's mother, but seeing him so happy, they couldn't bring themselves to burst his bubble. I wondered how long this touching family reunion, steeped in greed, would last. Ethan's mood didn't improve, which only garnered him more sympathy online. He started an anti-depression diary blog, posting his daily thoughts and feelings. Around that time, Aria contacted me. She wanted to meet at her place, claiming she had a way to bring my grandmother back to life. I was suspicious, of course, but a tiny, desperate part of me wanted to believe her. She could travel through time and space. She was the creator of this world. Maybe she really could do it. When it came to my grandmother, I was willing to walk into a dragon's den. As agreed, I went to her house alone. As dusk fell, I walked through the gate and was immediately confronted by 3 large, burly men. I turned to leave, but Chloe was there, locking the gate behind me with a smirk. "I told you you'd pay for what you did," she said. "But I'm not like you. I'm not heartless. I can't just stand by and watch you get hurt." With that, she tossed the key aside and walked away. The thugs looked me over with leering eyes, slowly setting up camera equipment. One of them, a man with a scar across his face, stepped forward, his hand tracing my collarbone. "Don't be nervous, pretty boy. Big brother will be gentle. Quit flirting, boss." The rest of us are getting impatient. One of the others catcalled. "Shut up, you horny bastards." Scarface snapped, his hand sliding down my waist. It stopped abruptly. "What's this?" I blinked innocently and grinned. "Let me show you my big toy." I twisted his wrist, grabbed the hilt of a knife tucked in my belt, and swung it like a meat cleaver. A scream echoed through the yard as 2 bloody hands fell to the ground. I pressed the blade against Scarface's neck, gently dragging it. "So, is my toy fun to play with?" "Mercy, ma'am, mercy. I was wrong. Please," he sobbed, nearly collapsing to his knees. "Boss." His men started to rush me. I pressed the knife harder. "Stay back." Scarface screamed at them. "You want to live?" I asked. Yes. I was just paid to do a job. Please, spare me." "All right," I said. "Go drag that woman who's hiding in the house out here." I jerked my chin towards the window. A moment later, Aria was dragged out, trembling like a frightened quail. "Now what, boss?" Scarface asked timidly. I raised an eyebrow. "Well, you set up all this equipment, and you said you were impatient, right?" I smiled sweetly. "Do I need to spell out for you?" Scarface's face crumpled. "Understood." Aria's face flushed a deep red. "Leo, are you insane? Can you do it?" I asked the others. Yes, we can." They nodded like bobbleheads, clumsily starting to tear at Aria's clothes. A live sex show played out before me as the sun set. After I let Scarface and his crew go, I dragged the barely breathing Aria into the house, gave her a quick rinse in the pool, and hauled her inside. I'd always liked her living room table. It looked like a perfect workbench for making dolls. Aria was awake, but too weak to move. On the TV, her pornographic ordeal was playing on a loop. She closed her eyes in despair. I chuckled. "Why aren't you watching? You orchestrated this whole thing. Why the long face now that you're the star?" I found some tools that would suffice. To the soundtrack of her pleas for mercy, I systematically broke every bone in her body. After a long night's work, a life-sized marionette was born. How does it feel?" I murmured, stroking her chin, pure ecstasy coursing through me. To be taken out by the very puppet you created? In the world she'd written, the law was a joke. Power and money could solve anything, including murder. My grandmother's death had barely made a ripple. I could never accept that. The only answer was to fight fire with fire. Chloe knew nothing about what had happened. She was at an amusement park with Ethan, trying to cheer him up. My phone, which I'd taken from Aria, would occasionally buzz with texts from her. "Where's the video? Why haven't you sent it yet?" I went to the park, following my usual routine of causing them trouble, and saw Chloe frowning at her phone. Another, more aggressive text from her popped up on Aria's lock screen. "Where the hell are you? Answer me." Suddenly, Ethan's voice interrupted her. He was standing in front of a woman, pleading softly, "Ma'am, could you please give me that stuffed animal? I really like it." The woman looked conflicted, but shook her head. "I'm sorry, son. My little boy has wanted this one for a long time. I spent all afternoon at the ring toss to win it. It's the last one they have." She clutched the toy tighter and bowed slightly, trying to leave. Ethan looked even more dejected. Chloe, seeing his pain, rushed forward, grabbed the toy's tail, and gave the woman a hard shove. The woman stumbled forward, her head hitting a decorative rock pile. Someone's kid had stuck a sharpened bamboo stick in the rocks. The tip plunged directly into the woman's heart. The scene erupted into chaos. Ethan's eyes were wide with panic. She just fell. You barely pushed her. Chloe looked at the hand she'd used to push the woman, then pulled out a tissue and wiped it obsessively before grabbing Ethan and walking away. A small boy came running from a short distance away, an ice cream cone in his hand. It fell to the ground as he watched his mother being lifted onto a stretcher. He tried to chase after Chloe and Ethan, but Chloe kicked him away. The boy clutched his instantly bruised leg and tried to get up again. I stopped him. I know who they are. Don't chase them. They won't get away. Let's go find your mom first. I held the boy as he cried, his eyes, red and swollen, locked on the retreating figures. I'm going to kill them, he whispered. Okay, I said. We'll kill them. By the time we got to the hospital, all that was waiting for the boy was a cold body. The woman had been gone before the paramedics even arrived. The boy collapsed on his mother's chest, letting out a grief-stricken wail like a wounded animal. I learned that the boy and his mother were all each other had. The rest of their family had died in a natural disaster years ago. After handling the funeral arrangements, I decided to adopt him. It wasn't out of charity. It was the look of pure, resolute vengeance in his eyes when he said he would kill them. It felt familiar. I wanted to see if a great villain could raise a little one who could help me burn the whole heroes club to the ground. The boy's name was Alex. I had made him a promise, and as a professional villain, I intended to keep it. Besides, I was tired of my life being constantly interrupted by the damn plot. I checked my watch. Ethan's grifter mom should have burned through his savings by now. Sure enough, Ethan went to my father and mother to ask for money. Without Arya to prop them up, I had intensified my attacks. Jiang Corp officially declared bankruptcy, saddled with massive breach of contract penalties. Former partners were circling like vultures, filing lawsuits to get a piece of what was left. With all that chaos, Ethan's plea for cash was met with nothing but fury. For the first time ever, my father hit Ethan. I took you in, and now the company is gone. Not only are you useless, but you have the gall to come here and cause more trouble. We've spoiled you rotten, he screamed. Your mother is a gambling addict, a bottomless pit. Do you want her to drag us all down with her? He insulted Ethan's mother to his face. But Ginny had been eavesdropping at the door. Hearing my father's words, she flew into a rage. She grabbed a can of gasoline, doused my parents, and threw a lit match. Ha ha ha. You think you're better than me? Go to hell. She then ransacked the house, grabbing anything of value. What are you standing there for, you idiot? Help me, she shrieked at the stunned Ethan. The villa filled with a symphony of screams and maniacal laughter. But a gambling addiction is infinite, and money is not. Ginny started forcing Ethan to grift online. When the public sympathy ran out and the money dried up, she became even more desperate. Though Ethan now saw his mother for who she was, he was completely under her control, reduced to a tool for making money. I forgot to mention, Chloe's family company went bankrupt right after ours. Ethan couldn't rely on her. Sometime later, Ethan came to me. He got straight to the point. $5 million for the video. Video? What video? I asked, a slight smile playing on my lips, though my eyes went dark. So, the innocent puppy was long gone. The flawless hero, dragged through the mud. It was a beautiful thing. Don't play dumb. I know what happened at Arya's house. I know you have a video of them with you. Give me the money, and I'll make Arya delete it. I slid my phone across the desk to him, a video already queued up. You mean this one? Ethan looked down, confused. When he saw who the star of the video was, his face shattered. You're a lunatic, he gasped, then fled the office. Ginny, who had been waiting downstairs, saw him return empty-handed and exploded. She grabbed him, kicking and punching him right there on the sidewalk. Chloe, the ever-faithful protector, arrived late to the scene. Though her family was ruined, she had stuck by Ethan, her love apparently unconditional. Seeing her beloved being beaten, she jumped in to shield him. Ginny, blind with rage, didn't care who it was. She picked up a heavy vase from a nearby planter and swung. Amid Ethan's piercing scream, the world went silent. Chloe lay in a pool of blood, just like Alex's mother. She ended up in a permanent vegetative state. Ginny was sentenced to life in prison for attempted murder. And Ethan, this time for real, finally went insane. He was committed to a psychiatric hospital. I heard he finally succeeded in taking his own life. I took Alex to visit my grandmother's grave and his mother's. The little boy hugged the headstone, sobbing his heart out. I couldn't help but shed a few tears myself. The setting sun cast a warm glow over us, like a gentle embrace from my grandmother. I wiped my eyes, a real smile spreading across my face, returning the sun's comforting warmth. This was the story of a villain who defeated the hero. A story written by me. In my mind, I put a period on this chapter of my life. Taking little Alex's hand, I looked toward the horizon, full of hope for the new one we were about to begin.